Welcome, everybody.
That's right. Welcome.
Welcome. Yay. This is my first one of these lives. Hello, Dennis.
Hello, Theo.
Yay.
Yes.
This is so cool.
Hello, Liz. Liz is a really good writer, by the way.
Hi.
Very, very talented writer. Wrote a book, a novel called Tupelo Honey that was very popular.
Ah. Aha.
Mm.
Very cool. We had a really great one with Brendan. So
Yeah,
a lot.
that was really fun. That was quite a ride.
Yeah.
I never know where these are going to go. That one just went really, really deep. But I mean,
Yeah.
I suspected that it might, but you can't really force that sort of thing. You have to get in the flow and just really vibe. Hello, Tamara.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a dance. It's a dance.
It really is. Sometimes I feel like it's just not hitting. And maybe it never hits, or maybe it takes off suddenly in the middle of the conversation, which is kind of what happened with Brendan.
Amazing. And I love it. He's so far away from you. I'm so far away from you. I mean, this is fantastic.
Yeah, well, if you go to San Miguel, you might
Yeah.
have to pay him a visit.
Hola.
Hola, hola. That's great.
I've been
Yeah.
studying Spanish on Duolingo and I'm on my 30-day streak and I love it. It's making learning Spanish so easy because we don't learn it in Canada. We learn French, of course.
Right, right.
But it's so similar in so many ways. So I'm picking it up so easily. And I went shopping at the farmer's market today and I went to the little Spanish section and I was speaking Spanish with them.
That's great.
So it's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
you know, it'll come in really handy when you go down and do some reconnaissance in
Yes.
Mexico. For
Exactly.
sure. Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
be great. Yeah, I'm really curious to see. We spent time in San Miguel and in Playa del Carmen, which is it's beautiful, but it's much more sort of touristy and beachy Gulf side touristy. And we spent some time in over on the Pacific coast in a few different places, and really enjoyed that as well. We were in the state of Jalisco, in a little town called Melaki. That was really something. That was sort of one of the last true old Mexico beach towns, and that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not a lot of infrastructure for the types of things that we've talked about. But beautiful and wonderful to be there with a little kid, and we met lots of Canadians who were down there, and you know,
Amazing.
doing it.
What's that? What year was that you were
This
there?
was oh god, this was I want to say like 18 years ago or something like that. So it's been a very long time. Our son had his first and third birthdays in Mexico, so.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very so we were in and out. Hello there, Trey. Hey, how are you doing?
Hey.
Have
Hey,
you met
Trey.
Trey?
Just through Substack.
Yep.
Yes, we've crossed paths. We've crossed comment streams.
That's great. Yeah, Trey was like a very serious surfer living down in Costa Rica for a long time, speaking of Spanish, and he sent me pictures of him surfing just some really gnarly waves. Very impressive stuff.
Wow, fantastic. I've been actually watching a lot of surfing videos lately because don't even know why. I just one day I thought I want to get inside this sport. I never, of course, I'd heard of Laird Hamilton before and watched a couple docs with him, but
Mm,
just never really fathomed what it entailed and the lingo and the culture. And I just really started diving in last week and
that's
the,
cool.
the waves outside Portugal or that area in Portugal and that
Terceira, yeah. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Nazaré and
crazy.
Terceira, that whole coastline.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because of that canyon or that deep, like
Yes.
crazy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the big wave surfing is just from another planet. That is truly wild stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to see if we could do a sound check. So if you can hear me, okay, and Jacqueline, could you also
Hey,
Hey, just yeah.
how does it sound, everybody?
How does it sound? So if you could write in the comments if you can hear us okay. I can hear Jacqueline great. She said she could hear me. Sounds great. All right. Great.
Good.
Wonderful.
Good, good.
Wonderful. We're going to get started in just a moment. We just have a few more people coming in, and people they tend to be late for these things, as we all know, which is fine.
Time schmime.
That's
Yeah.
right. Mañana. Mañana.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. See, see. Oh,
Right.
wonderful.
All
Muy
right.
bien.
Great. Well, I'm gonna respect everyone's time here. We're five minutes past, so I'm going to get us started here. So here we go. Um, Hello, this is Saul Luckman, and welcome to Conversations on Saul Luckman Uncensored in its new home at saulluckman.substack.com. Please take off your sandals and enjoy this candid conversation between content creators about creativity, culture, and maybe even the cosmos. Today, it's my pleasure and honor to converse with my friend Jacqueline Rendell of dancinginadream.substack.com. I first encountered Jacqueline's amazing musical talent in a badass song she did during the COVID era titled Can't Look You in Your Ideology. Really good stuff. Go check it out. Since that time, I've tuned into a number of her wonderful lives from the nest on her YouTube channel. And I also had the pleasure of being interviewed by her back in March on the topic of my new book, Get Out of Here Alive. Please check out Jacqueline's websites and be sure to subscribe and enjoy her amazingness. Thanks for joining me today, Jacqueline. I've really missed talking to you and have looked forward to this. How are you doing?
Thank you, my friend. I'm honored to be here with you and excited because, you truly feel like a friend and these days that means someone I can be totally myself with and say anything to, and I appreciate that so much. So,
Yeah, I like that definition of friendship. I feel the same way. Absolutely.
yeah. 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 I've learned to, like, bump up those values to the very tippy top of what I consider a friend. So,
Right.
not how long you've known somebody, it's not, it's not how much you know about each other, it's really, like, the sovereignty you allow someone to be who they are and who they're not, and, yeah. So,
Yeah, that is awesome. That is really, really awesome. I sometimes feel like we're both aware of how we're going around making all this stuff up on some level, and we give each other the space to be in our controlled folly, to use that shamanic terminology, and we honor that controlled folly, which is rare, because people take everything so seriously.
yeah, because they're taking everything so personally,
Yes, agreed,
right?
agreed.
It's these open wounds
The
that
open wounds.
this is it, because everything and I was really formulating this concept to discuss with you, and now seems the right time is, after spending a month with various family members, I got to really observe a lot of patterning that I've outgrown. And I can see when someone is just looking through a wound, everything is a projection when you haven't healed it. And then when you have, you no longer are triggered by taking anything personally. And then you can enter that creative state instead. And
Mm,
it's that filter is clear now. It's not, you're not looking through a lens of what happened to you that you didn't resolve to any degree.
mm.
And the world just becomes your playground in place of that, you know?
I like that. I got this image as you were speaking of a set of glasses, and one lens is jade and the other one is rose. And so you can look at things in a too positive way or in a too negative way based on that wounding that keeps you off balance
Right. And not neutral.
and not neutral. Yes.
Not neutral.
Yeah.
It is. It really is so much a game of not reacting and figuring out how to not do that. And where so many people get caught up is reacting to the thing that triggered them and blaming that thing rather than looking at that trigger as a gift because it's indicating it's like a map that's pointing X marks the spot. And it's such a gift to have those triggers, but people get stuck in their flow in reaction to the thing that triggered them rather than looking at what's it's showing, you know? And yeah, so
One of the reasons I think that that is allowed to be the case in an ongoing way is that we somehow end up with this idea that there is an end to our becoming. That at some point in time we arrive and then we're happy and we're sold the fairy tale of the dream, the home, the family, the spouse, whatever it is, lots of different
success.
possibilities. Right.
Yeah,
Success, you've made it. And so it means that anything that comes between you and your happiness is coming between you and your becoming, and that is not tolerated, as opposed to seeing that the thing which is presenting itself as a trigger is actually there to facilitate and accelerate your becoming,
right,
which doesn't end. You don't really get to that place. You just keep moving.
right, right. Right, but the quality of your movement does change exponentially once you kinda clean it up, clean up the hook you when you become unhookable,
Unhookable. I like that.
you know? And I mean, I do believe that's possible. I do believe, I suppose, success could be reframed as finding neutrality because you're at peace with your past. So, there's nothing out there to take personally anymore, you
Mm,
know? And
mm,
so now you're operating in the game from a whole new empowered place where you have all of your energy going towards what you want to create and you're not leaking it to these other things that are left, you know, unresolved to whatever degree. And I find it really interesting just even noting my own inner alchemy. And as we know, again, this is so classic. It's not a new concept, but we are always fractaling in this spiral. And, when I visited with my family for the month of June to July, I could see where even just 6 months ago, let alone a year ago or so, where I was so less hookable, I knew how I would have reacted to certain things, dynamics, whatever, tones of voice. I know I would
mm.
have reacted so differently in just a little bit ago version of myself. But because I'm tending to this inner stuff and I'm really committed to just showing up with the people I love as love, I don't want to judge them. I don't want to be right in my relationships. I just want to love them the way they are. And, I was able to do that in such a more empowered way this time around because of the work that I've been doing, you know? Eh
Wow, wow, yeah, my thoughts are all over the place. That's such good stuff. Let's frame this so that people know. So what have you been doing? We talked about before coming on the air here. We talked about using the words from the title that I'd put on the Substack post
Mm.
announcing our talk, next level live. So when we say uh, next level, I know we can mean many things, and you probably mean some things that I don't mean, and vice versa. But what does next level mean to you in terms of where where we've been going with the conversation, having to do with your experience of inner alchemy? If you could give people a little bit of context, what have you been doing, and what has it been doing for you? That's that sort of thing. If that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Next level for me is continuing to alter my self-concept and operate in a way like I say, I'm in a much more responsive mode now, and I'm in a more allowing mode where, um I guess I suppose too, it's all just been a next level upgrade of my frequency. So I don't need to enter situations or dynamics. So, let me back up. I spent the first 2 weeks of June in Australia with my sister and my 2 nieces and my brother-in-law and my mother. And we traveled together for 2 weeks. We went up to Cairns, we went snorkeling on the Great Barrier Reef, which was amazing,
Oh, wow.
and then we spent some time on the Gold Coast. But I observed these old family dynamics with my sister and my mother, and these weird things that they do, and they, when they're upset, they withhold and they kind of shut down. And I was able to, because I spend so much time in my own company, I was able to maintain my observer mode with them and not fall into like an old familial pattern, like who I was in my teens, let's say, when the three of us were together. And I also had so many epiphanies about this is what I grew up in. I grew up
Mhm.
with a mother who, when she isn't heard or feeling validated, she withdraws and leaves she's in the room with you, but she's not in the room.
Mhm.
Her presence is completely gone. And I realized that that's what shaped me into being the people pleaser I was my whole life and almost basing my worth on how responsive my mom was to me when I was a kid. And she wasn't able to be present. So I just healed so many, um, I gained so much understanding of who I can choose to be now. I'm free of operating in an automatic response to that old programming. I am free of it now.
Oh, wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, and it was in the stillness that I could just embody. I didn't have to say, I didn't have I didn't have to initiate conversations. It was just my being was, "I'm gonna hug you, and I'm gonna hug you, and we're gonna have a great day, and you guys can do whatever you do, but I'm not gonna change how I feel because of how you feel." And that's been a huge growth for me. Disharmony between people in my environment has always caused me to have stomach upset or anxiety and I've always felt like I need to heal that and create harmony again. But now I don't need to do that. I can just have it on my own. And I know you get that.
Oh, I really do get that. I mean, it's I get it totally. I just was seeing it and feeling it. Maybe you could share a little bit about what you've been doing to achieve this, because this is not an easy task when we're talking about your own triggers with core family members. That's one of the harder areas to become hookless, in. So, what have you done to succeed on this path?
Reframe that. What triggers you? And when I say the word trigger, and I don't want to overuse it, so let me use a new word. When I'm aware that my peace has been disrupted due to a response to something outside of me, I just see that as a gift. I see that as an opportunity. And I sit with that and I look at it and I investigate what just happened. I was feeling great, peaceful, joyful, pleasant, calm 10 minutes ago. Now I don't. So why? The only reason for that would be that I'm filtering my experience of and my perception through a lens that is erroneous. That is something that that no longer needs to be there. And so I'm willing to look at, well, why? And in doing that, I discover that it's usually an old story operating. Everything is narrative, right? We know that this whole world, everything we
Every
believe,
bit.
everything is just a story.
Yeah, I like to talk about running scripts. So
Yeah.
those patterns and those quote unquote triggers are really just scripts that are activated.
Yes. Yes. So to grow your awareness of it, of when a script is activated, because again, to me, I'm too stubborn to give up my sovereignty. Like, I want to choose how I'm being. So if something is automatically happening in my physiology, in my emotional body, I want to take those reins back by cleaning that up. So I'm going to look at what that story is. And it's usually for me, it's been rooted in taking something personally, not feeling understood, not because I'm a bit weird. And so, not being understood has been a huge trigger for because
Mhm.
in being understood by someone else, I feel intimacy. I feel connected to something. I feel connected to someone,
Sure. Sure.
right? But I don't want to need that to feel at home in myself. So that's been a huge one for me. And I think just making peace with the fact that my family, as much as I love them, they may never get me. They may never really know who I am. And that's okay. Yeah.
Theo in the comments just said hooray for weirdness.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely, because we're going pro, the going's getting weird and the weird, that's us, we're going pro. That's a Hunter S. Thompson. Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
This idea of becoming aware of the scripts is a huge one. Using awareness to kind of scan your processor and how you're responding. Is there a cortisol surge? Whatever might be going on to drive you in a certain direction. And then for me, another massive piece, which I write about in this new book, is how to go about finding those places in the past that started the script, when the script got formulated and began enacting itself. And
Yeah.
you go to those moments when the script was happening, which I see as some kind of trauma or a drama. And then you can breathe or suck or draw that back into yourself so that you reclaim your power and that part of your sovereignty that you ceded to a moment that's kind of out there in time bleeding you dry. And you can even extrapolate that forward in time to another possible scenario, some kind of timeline, that you might find yourself on, where you worry about repeating that script, or you create a script based on your worry or your stress or your anxiety, your fears, your phobias, and you can breathe that back in as well. So there are really like pragmatic things that one can do to really uh, reclaim your personal power on a literal level. We're talking chi or prana or kundalini, actual life force.
Yes. Yes.
So because you seem very alive right now. Not that you weren't so much before, but you seem just almost glowing right now.
Thank you. Well, because I've I've been able to reclaim a lot of that energy that I was leaking, you know? And
Mm.
so to continue the second 2 weeks of June, I got back from Australia. And then 2 days later, I flew out to Mission, BC, which is about an hour outside Vancouver, because my dad is ailing. He's not doing so well. And I actually met his partner that he's been with for 13 years for the first time and stayed in her house with them. And so
Wow.
I know. And so it was another master class, a serious next level master class in being what they needed in that situation and meeting them where they were at. Like, I think the part of me, and I'm not going to talk for anyone else, but I think in general, when we are wounded, and then we build these survival mechanisms like defensiveness or, a coldness or whatever your survival mechanism is to protect your hurt from actual intimacy. Um, I don't remember what my point was with that. I guess when that I no longer need to show up and even offer my point of view. Like I've been so in the state of being where, well, I know things that you don't know. And I don't want to talk too much about this particular topic, but we all went through some weird stuff a couple years ago. And, I tried to talk to my family about what I was learning and I wasn't hurt. And now I'm kind of living in a bit of a fallout circumstance with this
Mm,
health.
mhm.
And, but because I don't need to be right and heard and understood, I could show up and be like, what do you need? Can I get you some water? Like, here's a hug. Like, I actually got to be in a caretaking, caregiving role for my dad
Wow.
rather than a walking wounded who's resentful that he didn't listen to me and whatever. I was able to
Yes, yes.
just give him the love that I saw make a difference for his health in the 2 weeks I was there.
Wow.
Like, it's
Wow,
just
amazing.
I'm literally in this classroom of, well, let's try what this new version of Jacqueline creates out there in the world. And man, do I like this version better. It's, I'm, and, I've certainly had to, we all cocoon and butterfly, but it's just so much better to let people be and let them go. So much letting go has happened for me.
The path of inner alchemy, as I've experienced it and as I've learned about it, is a series of letting go, letting goes where you think you have to take things on, like you have to have more knowledge, but really you are doing more and more allowing. You're forgetting things that no longer serve you. You're putting things in the dustbin of your personal history. You're releasing your own dogmas and belief systems, and slowly but surely you begin to look on the the lenses, the jade and the rose lenses you were previously using to see the world, as just that, as filters that didn't give you a perception of reality, but gave you a kind of conditioned response to reality. And one of the biggest places, and one of the hardest, I would say, for people to get to on this inner alchemical journey is a reevaluation of what it means to love and to be in love.
Mm.
It's massive, because what you begin to really understand is that what is called love in this world is not love. It's narcissism and selfishness for the most
Mhm.
part.
Uh-huh.
And it's self-protection
Yeah.
very often, and self-preservation, self-serving, all of those things. So the only real response to that knowledge, knowledge, that you can provide as an inner alchemist is to go in the direction of agape,
Yeah.
where you only can radiate love for all that you encounter as best you can, without any desire to fix anything or change anything. Because as soon as you do that, you are basically putting another hook back on yourself,
Yes.
and your energy can be taken away, and you can be redirected in different to the purpose of different agendas and that kind of thing.
Yes, and it's interesting because changing things can show up as resistance to what is, which is an impedance to creating. It's funny how those aren't the same. Changing things isn't the same to creating, right? It's
Oh, I wanted to speak to that, because rather than changing things, the power of agape at the highest level, when you are just with someone or something, has the ability to change it. but
Yes.
it's a totally way of doing it. It's effortless effort at the love level.
Right. Right. And what I find fascinating is how similar to a fractal, it it becomes exponentially more effortless. So, here's a question I have for you. When you're bringing up the jade lens and the rose lens, let's say, and we're thinking the rose is looking at things joyfully. Now, I find that this world really is a playground. And, yes, I'm aware of suffering, variations of that out there. But I truly have a joy and a love for this game, for I love this place. Wherever it is, why ever we're here, wherever we came from. So, is that akin to you of looking through a rose-colored lens? Like, what is the difference between finding this true spark of, "I love being alive, and I like working with that spark." Is that different than what you mean by rose-colored lens?
I guess it is, and thanks for asking that question and giving me a chance to think about it for a moment and respond. For me, if you have a jade lens that you're looking through, right, that is automatically going to color things in a negative or pessimistic direction. So that's one option that we have. And that is a distortion of how things are because there's the possibility of viewing things neutrally and then they will look and be different
Right.
because your perception will create a different thing that you're looking at,
Different experience.
a different experience. On
Yeah.
the other hand, if you're looking through rose colored glasses, you can kind of ignore the setting and context and you can believe something that's not really real for you yet. You can believe that you're having an actual spiritual conversation with Chat GPT, for example, and there are lots of people doing just that,
Yeah.
and that's living in delusion. So
Right. Got it.
where do you find the balance? Where is the confluence between the so-called real and the so-called imaginary, where those waters meet and there's a co-creative coming together, some kind of new body of water is created. I've written and talked a lot about this notion of a third riverbank. This
Mm.
wonderful Brazilian writer named João Guimarães Rosa. He wrote a story called The Third Riverbank years and years ago, and it really symbolically what he was talking about was this third place where the alchemical transmutation of reality occurs and you go to a place that isn't a place or that is a new place or that defies the laws of this place. And plugging back in agape to this conversation, we could say that is really the energy that allows you to go there perceptually and energetically. So, we can talk about creating your philosopher's stone and breathing in the energy and healing the traumas and everything, but then the next level of all of this is actually changing the way you go about loving yourself, people, and the world.
Yes. Yes. Well, you know, I gotta tell you a most recent example for me and how I literally changed the outcome of today. So as you know, and I will tell our lovely guests, I have been rebranding my art. I'm no longer, in a political reactionary stance to the world. And now I just am dancing. I just want to dance. And I want to dream and I want to dance and I want to dream and I want to dance. And so I am committed to being an artist and putting my focus there. And so I'm working
Jacqueline,
on.
did you see my little quote today? I think you
Yes.
did.
It was so great. It was
So
so
yeah,
great.
I was quoting from the book. Let me share that with people because
Yes.
it kind of puts this whole like little conversation in context. It was to be or not to be. Is that really the question, or should it be to dance or not to dance? Dancing is being in this quantum disco we call reality. So what does that make not dancing?
Exactly. Lame.
Lame is what it makes it.
Who doesn't like dancing? I mean, so
That's great.
I am working on my weak areas where I'm working to develop more of a muscle with marketing and all the promo and consistency and things like that. And I think the dragon, the voice that has gotten in my way my whole life, the script has been, who cares? No, why? No one cares. Why does anyone care what I have to say? No one cares. Like what? Why does it matter? No one knows. It's just this, and then it's an excuse to stay invisible and play small and just kind of hide out. And then every once in a while, I'd be like, no, here's this thing I made, and then it's like, oh, no one cares, and I'll just go away again, and then come back, and I'm determined to kill that script. And so
Mm, mm,
last night, I did a live stream because I had done one the week before on a Wednesday. And I said, Jack, I don't care how hot your studio is. You are not letting more than a week go by between live streams. Like, don't fall, like, keep showing up, keep showing up. So I did. I did a live stream last night. And I swear, I love this realm sometimes because I really do believe it's like, are you sure? Like, I'm testing your commitment. Are you sure this is what you want? And, two people showed up, and there was just there was just nothing really came of it, except for the fact that I was proud of myself that I did it. So I go to bed, I wake up in the morning, and I wake up feeling this old familiar feeling. I'm like, I don't feel very good. Okay, Jack, let's look at this. Why? What script is running, to use your language? And it was that thing. It was like, well, what? No one came. No one cares. No one. What am I doing? It's not good enough. It was that feeling of it didn't fucking matter. Like, it doesn't matter,
mm,
show up or not show up. And I said to myself, nope, that is not how this day is going.
right.
I have an opportunity to recognize that path. It's like that scene in The Matrix where Trinity says, Neo, you know where that road goes.
Mm,
Choose a new road.
yes.
Right? And
I
that's what
love
I
that.
did. I did it. I was like, no, I'm not making it mean what I used to make it mean, because it's bullshit, and I can make it mean anything. People have lives. It doesn't mean people don't care. It's summer. People are out and about. And it's not even about me. It was a chance to not take anything personally, and to just feel like, for me, it was a success to just show up. And I could see, Saul, that is what has stopped me for 30 years of my life.
Mm,
And I changed it today.
that is amazing. Let me ask you, is where does asking what you want, where does that factor into this picture? Like like, if right now we ask people to go over to your YouTube channel, Dancing in a Dream, at Jacqueline Rendell, and subscribe so that you'll get notifications for your next live, and please consider attending. Is that okay to do? And what response do you have a script running when I say those things? Because I have had a problem of asking for what I want in my life at times.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a huge trouble receiving.
Uh-huh.
In the way you just said that was so perfect. I don't know. I guess I don't feel weird when you say that. I think I just maybe still have this undervaluing of myself, in a little low hum of that in the background, that to even think to say that doesn't even come to mind. It's and then I think if I do ask for what I want, it maybe feels like people think I'm selling them something or something. But it's silly, right? I just need it. I'm just warming up to the idea that I'm maybe worthy of even asking.
Right, right. Yeah, and you do get people who will, say that you're doing too much promotion, or you're shilling this, or you're shilling that. And I think when people lead with criticisms like that they're just basically putting their own wounding on display.
Yeah, for sure.
If they can't lead with a positive or a constructive type of response, then something else is going on there, and it's not about you.
Absolutely. 100%. If it's not love, I mean, if it's not agape, then right? It's something else. They're threatened by something.
Well, let's drill down on that for a moment, because
Yeah.
you just made a great point. When someone reacts, like I had somebody today write me, and I'm not even sure which which book it was about, because it was very strange. It was someone saying that they had gotten my new book, and then they had listened to some of the YouTube audiobook version of it, which okay, that's interesting. I've been putting this new book, Get Out of Here Alive, on my YouTube, and I have about half the book available there as a a partial audiobook, and I'm adding to that moving forward. But she basically said that she was listening to my new book, and she just did not like the AI reading of it or whatever, and then began to kind of give me like a hard time for presenting it as AI, or from an AI um, uh, standpoint, not standpoint, but
The
that I
narration.
used AI in the audiobook, but I didn't. It's me reading it, unless she was talking about another book. But the fact of the matter, relative to this conversation, is that she felt compelled to not even privately message me, but to put that as a comment, as a kind of very critical comment, after kind of leading with, thanks for your, I bought your new book, and then blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. First of all, are we even talking about the right book? And second of all, why would you feel compelled to try to shame me in some way for using this technology to share my work
Yeah.
with the world? What gives you the right to do that, and what makes you think that there's anything appropriate in any context about doing that?
Yeah. And if I may, seems that social media slash the internet has normalized people's comfort with just voicing their opinions about everything. And it mostly triggers them is something they don't like. And so it seems that, I even said this to my friend today in a conversation, is right now, you and I are having a conversation in your car about the fact that millions of people are online right now battling it out because they just want to be right with each other and the other person's wrong. And it's just this, instead of recognizing that she may not personally want to choose your offerings anymore and just walk away with grace and let you create your art the way you
Yes.
want to.
Yes.
It's so strange to me, and it's so funny because I really do feel like this is so much of the world right now, and it is the walking wounded that somehow find it, I don't know, perhaps a surge of power, the adrenaline from taking someone down,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Which is
Absolutely.
compensating for their lack of power, where they're leaking it everywhere that they're not tending to
Yeah, they're basically being an energy parasite trying to take your loosh.
because
That's
they're
what it
leaking
is.
it. Yeah, exactly.
So if you have those hooks, or let's reframe that, if you have little holes where you're leaking your loosh or your vital force, then it can be taken from you. Someone else can take it from you. This
Exactly.
happens all the time.
Yes. Because if you were to take her,
Shamans, if you read like the Castaneda world, I mean,
yeah,
shamans can see these energies, ribbons, going between people, and it's just really apparent that this is
yes.
what's going on.
And you not taking it personally puts a stop to that feeding, right? Like you have enough wherewithal to not feed her by reacting to it or whatever, or you're a work in progress as we all are. You know,
Right.
I think also another reason I've kind of held back from being very sharing myself very publicly is because I know I would not be able to handle negative responses because they would take my attention more than positive responses would.
Sure. Sure.
And I'm developing a thicker skin to the trade-off isn't worth it now. Now the cost of not sharing myself is more painful than dealing with any negative feedback I might get. Because
Yeah,
I
I
don't
feel the
get
same way.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when I decided to put out this book on Amazon and just let it rip, and I knew that it was very controversial, very intense for a lot of people, very triggering for a lot of people. and that there could be some fallout from that. And I was willing to just let that happen in my reviews, whatever might come to pass. I've been blessed to have tremendous reviews. I'm actually kind of shocked that I haven't had more negativity. And that just goes to show you that you don't always know what you've got and how people are going to respond. So I was operating from some script, some fear script from my past where I wasn't accepted and I was judged or shamed or bullied or whatever. And it had no real connection to the moment that I was in now, you know. So I'm really happy to have learned from that experience and to be in an ongoing way, fortifying my ability to take risks and to do things my way, and the devil be damned.
Amazing, man. Yes. Yes. So I'm in this Waters Above University, and the one thing Jordan likes to say is if you are ever stuck or stopped, experiment. Just experiment. And it's such a great way to kind of break those scripts and break pattern and not be so over analytical and going down the well-worn path of what you've done before, what you've thought before. And and I really like that. I really like the idea of taking an action. And it also, the word experiment for me implies not taking it too seriously. It's like, well,
Yes.
I'm just trying things out.
Yeah,
It
right.
mitigates against perfectionism or results that you may think you desire. It's more just like, well, I have no idea what's going to happen. And it really doesn't matter what happens as long as I play. And um, so I really like that. Um, the
I've
other
seen
thing
some of that in
well,
your music. I wanted just to say that you've been more experimental in your music in this last phase. Is that fair to say?
do you mean I haven't been doing recordings lately.
So, some of the most recent videos over the last several months,
Okay.
have seemed a
Yeah.
little bit of an experiment for you.
It's all an experiment. I never know what I'm doing. So let's
Okay, that's great.
funny enough, though, I wanted to share this with you. I am in the process of writing a new song. And what I find really interesting about the next level, to bring it back to that, the next level of this gameplay that we're in operating with more agency, is the synchronicities are just off the charts. I feel like they're happening all the time. Some of the mirroring going on. It's almost got like a cosmic sense of humor to it now because it's so apparent. And for example, in changing my name to Dancing in a Dream, every day I see the word dancing or dreaming at least 3 or 5 times. It's all there all the time. And then in my songwriting, whenever I'm in the process of writing a new song, I see it, the message or the idea behind it just pop up in the most random of places. And so this kind of relates to the story you just told about this woman and her feedback on your art. Is the first verse is, I don't want to be a megaphone. I
Hmm.
don't want to be a megaphone yelling my fears in your ears, telling you every little thing I think in one go. Let's take it slow.
I like that.
I don't want to be a radio streaming all the songs you already know. I want to be a signal in the noise. Find my true voice.
Beautiful.
And then the chorus is something like, because I'm too selfish to mind your business too. I, I've got me to do.
Oh,
You
me
know?
to do. Yeah.
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 And then the other idea I'm bringing into it is like, look, here's the thing I'm thinking now is I'm dancing my own dance and you're going to dance your dance, but it doesn't mean I'm dancing on my own because I don't like dancing in groups. I always feel awkward doing those dance where everyone's dancing in a circle. And so it's like, but the floor is ours. So come and dance your dance with me. And then we're going to be these two melodies that become a harmony. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So I
mm.
just kind of like this idea of really emphasizing the fact that I don't want to have control over anybody else. Like, I'm too selfish to even be interested in doing that. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. That's a perfect way of recasting the agape thing, because what you're really doing as you're focused on the most important thing, which is your becoming, your dance.
Right.
And that's how you can impact the world. And when you look around you and you see all of these reflections of your creative process, I used to think, oh, the universe is blah, 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 talking to me or whatever. No, you're talking to yourself. You're just pinging the field
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
giving yourself feedback that because the universe doesn't give a shit, but you give a shit. And you are basically having a conversation and you're dancing with yourself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yes. Yes, and it's fun to dance with other people, but not when they're trying to tell you how to dance, which is so
Yeah.
much of the noise right now, right? Everyone is so again, it's this wound thing. It's guys, heal your wounds and you won't care to tell other people that they're wrong and you don't like how they think about stuff. Like it's okay that we perceive differently. It's what makes this world so interesting, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's funny. There was a scene in my novel Snooze, which I wrote over a decade ago, and it featured a professor at an Ivy League school who on Halloween dresses up like a Native American, but he's Caucasian, right? And one of my readers, I've been putting this on Wattpad. You can read this for free, the serialization of Snooze over on Wattpad. So if you haven't checked out that world, it's
No.
really, really cool. Anyway, the reader was saying that, you know, this more than anything else in the book really dates the novel, not in a bad way necessarily, but this
Uh-huh.
is unacceptable now. 10 years later, just 10 years later, it's unacceptable for this person to exist as a character even.
Yeah, exactly.
And think about that.
It's wild.
It's wild.
It's wild. Yes. You
So,
know you know what is wild to me is that I grew up exposed to things that would not be acceptable now, and yet, strangely enough, I'm not a hateful person. So, it's funny, as much as maybe certain things are inappropriate now or not politically correct, I still have been, formed or groomed to be someone who sees people as individuals. And so that's just a thought that randomly popped into my mind because the argument against that kind of thing is that it's cultural appropriation and it's wrong. And I'm like, well, you know, it's a lot of shades of gray, but um we didn't turn out too badly.
right, right. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to turn this conversation into a politicized one because,
No,
we're
I don't
basically just talking about some of the scripts that are running on the world stage at the moment.
Yes, well said. There's a lot of scripts.
So we have the choice to participate in those scripts, to be affected by those scripts, to react to those scripts, to let them derail us from our life purpose and our creativity. Or we can do the internal work, which is this inner alchemy, however you go about it. And there's all kinds of different ways to go about it. You were describing your process of becoming aware of X, Y, and Z that really helped you change the scripts that you were running. And this is so important, and anyone can do it. Really, this is the work.
Yeah.
I have a sequel to Get Out of Here Alive. It's called Out Through the Indoor, and it's a little ebook on my Substack, so you can look at ebook on my tabs on my saulluckman.substack.com, and I say something to the effect that I can think of no more noble pursuit than to do this internal work with the idea or the goal of becoming truly all that you can be, which is a creator of worlds.
Yeah. Fire. Absolutely. Absolutely. And ironically, it's the scripts that will stop people from doing it. I mean, and this is what's so fascinating about this place, you know?
Yes.
Mm. But it's always a choice, you know, to do it or not do it. And what I find really interesting too is that a lot of the scripts running are convinced, and myself as well, that sovereignty, true sovereignty, is at the end of the approach I was taking, but it's actually just in freeing yourself from any of the scripture running.
The other idea that's part of that discussion is often this idea that true sovereignty results from some kind of paperwork or some kind of declaration or something else. And I'm here to tell you that has nothing to do with anything. That is another script and another distraction.
Right. Right. And a long, deep, endless rabbit hole.
Yes.
Like if
That
you wanted
that that is likely to get you in more trouble than you've ever been in.
right, right. Right. And here's the thing, on a level, I find it fascinating. I did Law for Mankind. Man, it was beautiful. But at the end of the day, and this is what my friend and I were talking about today when we went to the market, was it becomes about embodiment. It doesn't become about a thing to do. It becomes about a way to be in the world, you know?
Yes, so, uh, my concept is that when you can embody that agape and that energy and you don't have those hooks or those holes for your loosh to be taken from you, then you can walk between the raindrops of the world without getting wet, or you can get absolutely wet if you want to.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Aren't you so excited you get to live the rest of your life with this, you know,
It
being
is exciting. It's also kind of, at the same time, there's a lot of responsibility. It's almost like that Peter Parker moment where you are cultivating power and all of a sudden you have all of this responsibility really towards yourself. I mean, it's really about you, back to that selfishness. I mean,
Mm.
the funny thing about the selfish notion around things like internal alchemy is that you're also being very selfless because you're trailblazing a path that others can follow, and you're leaving an imprint in the morphic field like a sled going through snow that people can follow the track of much,
Aha.
much, much more easily.
Yes. Yes. But what's amazing about that is it can be an effortless responsibility in the sense that you're just experimenting with the work you're presenting. You are your own student, and that's what gives it so much integrity as well. You're not just positioning yourself as a guru and telling people what to do,
Right.
right? I mean, that would be a cult, and we're very familiar with what that
Yes,
would
we
look like.
are.
So, I don't I don't know. I think I'm for personally for myself, I just see for myself, I just need to keep showing up and honoring what I believe I'm here to do. And oddly enough, it doesn't really involve that many other people. It's almost accidental that it's spilled out to other people. Maybe that's a weird thing to say. Maybe that's just my script of still kind of undervaluing the role I'm playing. But I'm wary, and here's the thing that's interesting with getting more into wanting to promote my work. I'm very clear on wanting to make sure I'm starting from the inside out. It's how I've always created. I don't want to create content because now I've got a following and an audience that's expecting certain things from me. And it's a very interesting um, thing to have to consider. I want to
You don't want to sing to market.
No, I want to make sure that I'm genuinely making things that I love and sharing them when I share them. And if people are there to receive them, great. But I just feel, and I can see it happening with other, even just YouTube people, that the more people they attract to follow them, the more their focus and their work starts to shift towards what they want and not what they started out creating. And I just think it's an interesting thing. I'm nowhere near that as an issue, but you
Oh,
know?
I get it. I do get it. I mean, occasionally I've had people try to tell me how to present my work or to organize my presentation or whatever, and it's the same type of thing. Where you get this pressure where people are kind of giving you feedback, either very direct feedback or they're letting you know what they like, so you try to give them more of what they like. And at some point in time, I said, fuck it. I'm just going to do what I like. And if people dislike it or they can't come to terms with it, one of the things they can't come to terms with is that I do so many things
Ah.
and they don't know what to make of me. Is this guy a fiction writer? Is he a nonfiction writer? Is he a healer? Blah 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 blah. And they just end up feeling like they can't wrap their mind around me, or maybe they think because I do so many things, I don't do any of them very well. Jack of all trades, master of none, and maybe that's a fair concern. At the same time, I think it's this kind of weird lack of attention span that people have around coming to terms with a more complex being such as myself is a function of this niching of our reality down into, like, compartments inside compartments inside compartments, all the way straight down into hell.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. And it's so funny. I've been really actively redefining what success looks like. And I'm defining it as, are you expressing with your unique voice? And in my opinion, you are. And that's what makes you good at what you do. It's in and being an artist has a lot of leeway. I mean, art, there is no good or bad. It's just whether someone likes it or they don't like. You either like it or you don't like it, and that's fine. But it's an artist is going to make things. But I find that I will know if I see some art in front of me. I will know which is yours. That to me is everything.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I mean, I could definitely pick your voice and your sound out of a a haystack. I mean, that'd be very, very easy. So, ditto, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I want to let people reach out with any questions. If you have any questions for Jacqueline or myself or for both of us, please write those, and we will do our best to respond. And while people are thinking about that, and it's okay if there are no questions, that's fine. We've been kind of, all over the place, but
Yeah.
please check out Jacqueline. If give her a subscription at dancinginadream.substack.com. And if you could do me a favor and do the same at saulluckman.substack.com. And also, be sure to go over to Dancing in a Dream on YouTube, and that's at Jacqueline Rendell. And do you have anywhere else you would like to invite people to check out?
Not yet. I was brave and I reinstituted my Instagram last week, but I haven't done anything with it yet. So stay tuned on that one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really very excited to see where you go with
Thank you.
all of this, because I feel like I just intuitively sense that you're on the threshold of something unprecedented in your creativity and in your ability to reach people with it.
Thank you, Sal. Thank
Just
you.
seems like that to me. I mean, I just feel it.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, I feel like this morning really slaying that fucking dragon. I had to swear there because it's like that just will not stop me anymore. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to have challenges, of course, but it just means that I'm growing in my own power and in my own having my own back, and it's like you say, everything is about us dancing with us and reflecting ourselves back to us. And so I'm just really committed in a whole new way, and I'm really excited. And I'm so grateful for the support that I'm getting from people like you. And
Mm.
yeah, Substack, man.
Yeah,
You
I mean, without Substack, we probably never would have encountered each other,
know?
and
Yes.
I really love to see. There's some wonderful people I've met on here, and hopefully I'll be having some conversations with some of those in the near future. I already knew Brendan. Miguel and I met on YouTube, and I actually sort of got him over here on the Substack, or at least I was a factor in his decision to come over here.
Awesome.
Trey says, by the way, I love your content, Jacqueline. So
Thank you, Trey. Thanks, man.
So do you want to give, if since we've got about 10 minutes and I'm not seeing any questions, do you want to give people some bonus information about how to support themselves if they're looking to be an artist and that sort of thing? Do you want to share that?
Sure, I can do
Yeah.
that. So,
I'll give people some context. So I shared this way of crypto trading with Jacqueline back some months ago, and I'll let that be a tune up for this. The idea is not to turn this into a crypto conversation, but to point out that one of the problems with being a creator, an artist, a content creator, is to support yourself long enough for the thing you're doing to then really start supporting you. And so this is one strategy that has been helpful to me, and I'll let Jacqueline give her insight on it.
yeah. Well, and what happened was I was telling you that my audiobook work, which has been I've been a narrator of audiobooks for 5 years, and that work just stopped coming February, March, April. No offers for work. So I was
Probably because of the AI
Yeah, I'm thinking
thing.
so. I'm
Yes.
thinking so. But again, for me, the whole thing was okay, it's time to hustle again because that's just what happens. And so I had mentioned to you that I was thinking of possibly learning how to do crypto trading, which would mean my new work would be sitting in front of a screen 24 hours a day monitoring with, these ups and downs. And then you told me about this thing, this auto trader thing, and I looked into it. And basically, it is this beautiful system where if crypto is your thing out there, this auto trader has been designed by a man who's um, very interested in helping people benefit from the volatility of the crypto market by having a software that does the trading for you so you can use your time for other things. And where this particularly came in very handy for me was this. I didn't plan to go see my dad until I learned that I'd better get out there. It was a bit of an emergency. And I didn't have to really worry about how I was going to make, my monthly income. I was able to just say yes and go away and know that I was already taken care of because this thing was making money for me on the side. And I now feel like I'm entering this new stage of, and like what you're feeling as well, is that work has always come first for me. And then my art always came after. And I've always lived in expensive cities like Toronto where I'd have to work a lot to make my ends meet. So my music got a sliver of my time. With this trader providing practically, at this stage, it's just half of my monthly needs, but it's going to continue to grow. I'm actually feeling what it would feel like to just not even have to work at a job to earn
Yes.
my basic income, my basic needs.
Yes.
It's freeing. I'm experiencing the time and the freedom I have in a day so differently because of that now. And that's just going to escalate my ability to focus and create and market and learn the skills I need to then learn how to generate additional income with my art. So that's,
Wow.
yeah, that's what it's done for me. It's just,
Do you think that that's played a role in your ability to make progress in that inner alchemy way?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I was running a script for my whole adult life. I never had enough. It was always like, where's my next money coming from? And then being a freelancer, I had my own upholstery business and then I was doing narration and it was, you know, not knowing where my next work was going to come from, it's I've been able to replace that script with just this feeling of I'm taken care of,
Mm.
and I'm creating from that. And
Yeah, that's powerful.
now, and I'm grateful. I had my Bitcoin that I'd been stacking since 2019 that I'd been holding on to like a squirrel, storing it in a tree and just letting it sit there forever. And I was able to just let go of some of that and reinvest it in this trader. And I'm thrilled with it. It's just upgraded so much for me.
Oh,
So,
that's fantastic. That's very, very cool. Well, we're definitely not giving any financial advice here.
no.
If this is something you're interested in, you can message me or Jacqueline. I'm not affiliated or associated with it in any way, and I have no financial interest in this whatsoever. It's just something that I was doing, and I shared with my fellow artist. Um, and I'm really glad to hear that, Jacqueline. We did get a question. Someone asked how my book was no longer acceptable. Did I say retard or something? The snooze thing. So yeah, snooze. The story was the part that we were mentioning was a Harvard professor on Halloween, a male Caucasian dressed up as a Native American, and how that would just never happen today in most circles,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how silly that is in a way. But there you have it.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Hey, Klaus. Yes. And I saw someone else had asked the question, define art.
Oh, nice. Thanks for catching that.
How would you define it?
Wow. Yeah. Define art. Well, at the risk of sounding like a megalomaniac, it's me being me. For
Ooh.
me, it's just me being me, and I'm doing art because that's what I do. And when I'm not doing it, or I'm not in some process that's related to it, I suspect I'm not really being me very well.
Well, I'm going to have to sit with that for a while. Okay. That's next level answer, Saul.
Next level. Next level. Woo!
Next level, baby. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm stuck on a silly dictionary definition of something like, it's things we make, which is a silly answer because you make pancakes. But I mean, I guess that if this is where words in English and humans get really weird, is that art can be really anything, I suppose. But more and more these days, I'm thinking it's something particularly in the realm of humans. I mean, it's getting funny to have to say that because of the things that are happening even in the world of music. Now, I'm not against AI to any degree as a tool for facilitating expression, but I don't want to envision a world where all our art is no longer human created to some degree, and
Right, right.
so because to me art is it's a reflection of the human experience.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. I think there are all kinds of ways one can share the human experience, including while utilizing AI. You know,
Absolutely.
but but
Absolutely.
there is a line that you cross where the whole thing is just AI, and that to me is not art. So
It's so weird.
it's something else.
Yeah,
So
it's
but as
something else.
long as as long as and I'm not necessarily saying it's bad. It's just not what I would call art.
Right, right. Exactly, exactly. It really needs its own label, and I don't know what that's gonna be. But
Yeah. And I
yeah.
have no idea either, and I don't know where any of that's going. And I know people get all freaked out about this whole phenomenon, and I do understand that it's been rolled out on a script. It's been coming out in a very pre-scripted way, so something to be deeply suspicious of from that perspective. At the same time, I believe anything can be utilized, anything can be wu-weied. We can take
Yeah.
what we're presented with and turn it into art. We
Right,
can, we can turn anti-art into art.
right,
And
right, right.
and that's the power of Prometheus's fire. I like to say that it can burn you, but it is fire.
Right.
what can I do with this?
Exactly, and this is kind of to bring it back to dancing in a dream, it's I feel like it's just going to feed what I'm doing more so as a counterbalance because it's heart-based art. I'm doing heart-based art. I'm doing art for people who wanna know that it's made with the human element and discussing what it's like to be an artist in this world that's increasingly digitized, and I'm not doing it in a reactionary way. I'm just doing it because it's me being true to me. Like your original definition of art. That's just what I'm feeling is me. And it's what I align with. And I'm not, like Timbaland creating that new artist that's going to be totally vying with other musicians on the billboards. Like it's just going to get so clowny out there. Um, but I'm not angry about that because that would be leaking way too much energy to it. I'm just gonna take that and just continue to build my world, y
Absolutely.
and that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that is inspirational to end on. I want to see what you build in your world. That is really fantastic. Had some really good comments, people chiming in, and I know this is a large a large topic, but maybe we can use it as a springboard in the future for another conversation.
Yep, absolutely. We'll churn out some more art in the meantime and then, continue our alchemizing and check back in.
That's awesome. That's
We'll do the
awesome.
next one in Spanish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll do it in Spanish, and I'll muddle through that. I'll speak in like some some combination of Spanish and Portuguese that will be truly ugly. All right.
All right.
Listen, everybody, thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot to me that you've come to this channel. If you wouldn't mind liking this thing, because your likes actually, if you hit the heart button, actually show up on the video when we share it to the channel. So please feel free to give us a little love in that way. Thank you for the precious gift of your attention and your time. And thank you, Jacqueline, for just your awesomeness.
Thank you, Saul Luckman. Thank you. Man, can't wait to hug you one day.
Yeah, well, could be in San Miguel, could be
Hey. Yeah.
Florida, wherever. So, if you're headed this way, let me know.
Yep, you got it. Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
I'm going to see if I can figure out how to turn this recording off. I don't know if I know how to do it. Let me
Okay.
see. This is a funny thing. It's like, okay, where does it go? Where's my Substack?
Thank
Okay.
you. See
All
ya.
right. Much love
Yay.
to
All
all.
right. Much love. Bye.